Taxation in India. India has a well-developed tax structure, with clearly demarcated authority between central and state governments and local bodies. Central government levies some direct and indirect taxes on individual and commodities respectively. Direct taxes are personal income tax, wealth tax, and corporation tax, while indirect tax includes sales tax, excise duty, custom duty, and service tax. Currently, corporation tax, 20% of total tax collection, is the biggest source of income of central government. Value added tax VAT, stamp duty, state excise, land revenue, and profession tax are levied by the state governments. Local bodies are empowered to levy tax on properties, octroi and for utilities like water supply, drainage etc. Indian taxation system has undergone tremendous reforms during the last decade. The tax rates have been rationalized, and tax laws have been simplified, resulting in better compliance, ease of tax payment, and better enforcement. The process of rationalization of tax administration is ongoing in India. Direct taxes in India. In case of direct taxes, income tax, wealth tax, corporation tax etc., the burden directly falls on the taxpayer. These are those taxes which can't be transferred on to others by the taxpayers. Income tax. According to Income Tax Act 1961, every person who are an assessee and whose total income exceeds the maximum exemption limit shall be chargeable to the income tax at the rate or rates prescribed in the Finance Act. Such income tax shall be paid on the total income of the previous year in the relevant assessment year. Corporate tax. It is a tax imposed on the net income of the company. Description: companies, both private and public, which are registered in India under the Companies Act 1956, are liable to pay corporate tax. For the assessment year 2014 to 15, domestic companies are taxed at the rate of 30%. Company and related taxation in India. A company has been defined as a juristic person having an independent and separate legal entity from its shareholders. Income of the company is computed and assessed separately in the hands of the company. However, the income of the company, which is distributed to its shareholders as dividend, is assessed in their individual hands. Such distribution of income is not treated as expenditure in the hands of company. The income so distributed is an appropriation of the profits of the company. Different kinds of taxes relating to a company. 1. Minimum alternative tax MAT. 2. Fringe benefit tax FBT. 3. Dividend distribution tax DDT. 4. Banking cash transaction tax BCTT. 5. Securities transaction tax STT. Wealth tax in India. Wealth tax in India is levied under Wealth Tax Act 1957. Wealth tax is a tax on the benefits derived from property ownership. The tax is to be paid year after year on the same property on its market value, whether or not such property yields any income. Under the Act, the tax is charged in respect of the wealth held during the assessment year by the following persons: individual, Hindu undivided family and company.
Indirect taxation in India. Indirect taxes are those taxes which can be transferred on to others by the taxpayers. If the central government increases the rate of service tax on different services, then sellers pass on this increment on the final consumers of the services. Sales tax. Imposed on the sale of goods. It can be of two types: central sales tax and state sales tax. Central sales tax (CST). It is generally payable on the sale of all goods by a dealer, in the course of interstate trade, or commerce, or outside a state, or in the course of import into or export from India.
Value added tax VAT. VAT is a multi-stage tax on goods that is levied across various stages of production and supply, with credit given for tax paid at each stage of value addition. Introduction of state-level VAT is the most significant tax reform measure at state level. The state-level VAT has replaced the existing state sales tax. It was introduced from April 1, 2005 in the country. Excise duty. Central excise duty is an indirect tax levied on goods manufactured in India. Excisable goods have been defined as those which have been specified in the Central Excise Tariff Act as being subjected to the duty of excise. Central excise duties and types. 1. Basic excise duty. This is the duty charged under Section 3 of the Central Excises and Salt Act, 1944, on all excisable goods, other than salt, which are produced or manufactured in India, at the rates set forth in the Schedule to the Central Excise Tariff Act, 1985. 2. Additional duty of excise. Section 3 of the Additional Duties of Excise Goods of Special Importance Act, 1957, authorizes the levy and collection, in respect of the goods described in the schedule to this Act. This is levied in lieu of sales tax and shared between central and state governments. These are levied under different enactments, like medicinal and toilet preparations, sugar etc., and other industries development etc. 3. Special excise duty. As per the Section 37 of the Finance Act, 1978, special excise duty was attracted on all excisable goods, on which there is a levy of basic excise duty, under the Central Excises and Salt Act, 1944. Since then each year, the relevant provisions of the Finance Act specifies that the special excise duty shall be, or shall not be levied and collected, during the relevant financial year. Customs duty. Custom or import duties are levied by the Central Government of India on the goods imported into India. The rate at which customs duty is leviable on the goods depends on the classification of the goods, determined under the customs tariff. The customs tariff is generally aligned with the Harmonized System of Nomenclature (HSL). In line with aligning the customs duty and bringing it at par with the ASEAN level, government has reduced the peak customs duty from 12.5% to 10% for all goods other than agriculture products. However, the central government has the power to generally exempt goods of any specified description from the whole or any part of duties of customs leviable thereon. In addition, preferential or concessional rates of duty are also available under the various trade agreements. Service tax. Service tax was introduced in India way back in 1994 and started with mere three basic services, which is general insurance, stock broking, and telephone. Today the counter services subject to tax have reached over 120. There has been a steady increase in the rate of service tax. Currently, India receives near about 60% of its GDP from it. The current rate of service tax is 14% in India. GST. GST is an indirect tax which has replaced many indirect taxes in India. The Goods and Service Tax Act was passed in the Parliament on 29 March 2017. The Act came into effect on 1 July 2017. Goods and Services Tax Law in India is a comprehensive, multi-stage, destination-based tax that is levied on every value addition. GST is one indirect tax for the entire country. Goods and Services Tax (GST) is a federal tax. GST is an indirect tax imposed on the sale of goods and services. It is implemented throughout the country since July 1, 2017. There will be no distinction between goods and services for the purpose of taxation. GST will be a destination-based tax. This implies that all state GST collected will ordinarily accrue to the state where the consumer of the goods or services sold resides. To ensure the similar tax structure in the country, the central government has implemented the GST in the country since July 1, 2017. As of now, there are 5 types of GST rates in the country. These rates are 0, 5, 12, 18 and 28%. Rationale behind moving towards GST. Earlier, the Constitution empowers the central government to levy excise duty on manufacturing and service tax on the supply of services. Further, it empowers the state governments to levy sales tax or value-added tax (VAT) on the sale of goods. This exclusive division of fiscal powers has led to a multiplicity of indirect taxes in the country. In addition, Central Sales Tax (CST) is levied on interstate sale of goods by the central government, but collected and retained by the exporting states. Further, many states levy an entry tax on the entry of goods in local areas. This multiplicity of taxes at the state and central levels has resulted in a complex indirect tax structure in the country that is ridden with hidden costs for the trade and industry. Firstly, there is no uniformity of tax rates and structure across states. Secondly, there is cascading of taxes due to tax on tax. No credit of excise duty and service tax paid at the stage of manufacture is available to the traders while paying the state level sales tax, or VAT, and vice versa. Further, no credit of state taxes paid in one state can be availed in other states. Hence, the prices of goods and services get artificially inflated to the extent of this tax on tax. The introduction of GST would mark a clear departure from the scheme of distribution of fiscal powers envisaged in the Constitution. The proposed dual GST envisages taxation of the same taxable event, that is, supply of goods and services, simultaneously by both the center and the states. Therefore, both center and states will be empowered to levy GST across the value chain, from the stage of manufacture to consumption. The credit of GST paid on inputs, at every stage of value addition, would be available for the discharge of GST liability on the output, thereby ensuring GST is charged only on the component of value addition, at each stage. This would ensure that there is no tax on tax in the country. Destination-based consumption tax. GST will be a destination-based tax. This implies that all SGST collected will ordinarily accrue to the state where the consumer of the goods or services sold resides. All goods and services, except alcoholic liquor for human consumption, will be brought under the purview of GST. Salient features of the Constitution, 122nd Amendment Bill 2014. 1. GST, or Goods and Services Tax, will subsume central indirect taxes like excise duty, countervailing duty, and service tax, and also state levied like value added tax, octroi entry tax, and luxury tax. 2. The final consumer will pay only the GST charged by the last dealer in the supply chain, with set of benefits at all the previous stages. 3. Petroleum and petroleum products have been constitutionally included as goods under GST. However, it has also been provided that petroleum and petroleum products shall not be subject to the levy of GST till notified at a future date on the recommendation of the GST Council. The present taxes levied by the states and the center on petroleum and petroleum products, which is sales tax or VAT, and CST by the states, and excise duty the center, will continue to be levied in the interim period. 4. Taxes on tobacco and tobacco products imposed by the center shall continue to be levied over and above GST. 5. In case of alcoholic liquor for human consumption, states would continue to levy the taxes presently being levied, that is, state excise duty and sales tax or VAT. 6. It will have two components: central GST levied by the center, and state GST levied by the states. 7. However, only the center may levy and collect GST on supplies in the course of interstate trade or commerce. The tax collected would be divided between the center and the states in a manner to be provided by Parliament on the recommendations of the GST Council. 8. The GST Council is to consist of the Union Finance Minister as chairman, the Union Minister of State of Finance, and the Finance Minister of each state. 9. The bill proposes an additional tax, not exceeding 1%, on interstate trade in goods, to be levied and collected by the center, to compensate the states for 2 years, or as recommended by the GST Council, for losses resulting from implementing the GST. GST compensation. Due to a shift from origin-based to destination-based indirect tax structure, some states might face drop in revenue in the initial years. To help the states in this transition phase, the center has committed to compensate all their losses for a period of 5 years. Accordingly, Clause 19 has been inserted in the Constitution, 122nd Amendment Bill 2014, to provide for compensation to states by law, on the recommendation of the Goods and Services Tax Council, for loss of revenue arising on account of implementation of the Goods and Services Tax, for a period of 5 years.